Holy wacky pataki. Hello, friends. I think we should be in this now. Live and ready to go. We are making some presets for Cherry Audio's Dreamsynth, which you can hear right now. And now, you can see it. Here it is. Hello, Robert of Cherry Audio. Cherry Audio Official in the chat. So this is Dreamsynth. I'll give the lowdown for those who don't know what this is. This is a really awesome, really powerful plugin from Cherry Audio. It is $39, which is a steal, as most Cherry Audio plugins are very reasonably priced, and this is one of them. This is one of the patches I've designed that you're hearing now. But essentially, what we're working with is you have these three oscillators here in the center, and each one can have their own wave. So really kind of got 6 voices here. Plus you got these strings section down here just to throw in the mix. And man, there's just modulation for days in this thing, which makes it really fun for sound designing, which is why I'm making a preset pack for it. So these little squares here you can click, and you can enter in any sort of modulation that you want to that is within the plugin. And it's pretty amazing and leads to some pretty epic sounds, including this one, which this preset is called Final Orbit. And oh, I guess I should say this. The reason I am doing this preset pack of Galactic Pads is because there's this really, so down here at the bottom is this, I don't know why I'm pointing at my screen, you can't see what I'm pointing at, it's ridiculous. Down at the bottom of the screen here is this effects section. There is 5 different effects here, and one of them is this reverb, and in the reverb there's these types, and one of them is Galactic. And I don't know what kind of voodoo is running on this Galactic reverb, but it sounds super cool. And so it kind of inspired me to make a whole preset pack of just pads, which are sort of revolving around this Galactic reverb, which is just an amazing sounding reverb. And it's the reverb you're hearing now. So that sort of spawned this, and you know, just as I realized as I'm designing preset packs, I probably should have some type of theme behind each of them anyway, so it's just on here's random 50 presets, I'll have them all themed. So some of them for certain plugins might be cool bass sounds, some of them might be Galactic Pad sounds. So anyway, that's the concept of the stream, is we're just going to be sound designing in this, and I'll show you sort of the wonders and magic that is Cherry Audio's Dreamsynth. There will eventually be a full review video, as well as the preset pack available for download. But in the meantime, let's make some sweet sounds. Bring the fade out on that thing. Ooh. Fader out. Alright. Oops, still reverbs. All right, so typically I just start with a new patch. So I'm going to show you this reverb just really quick. So here, when you load a default patch, you just have some default saw waves. You get these huge selection of different wave types. So there's analog waves in here. There's just various, I'm not sure what they consider these categories here, I forget exactly, but just a bunch of waves in here. 8-bit brass, you got drones, you got FM synthesis in here, you have a ton of single cycle waves, and you got a bunch of one-shots for drums and percussions and that kind of stuff. You can select 2 per oscillator, and you can switch between 2 of them here, sort of almost doing kind of like a wavetable sort of synthesis, if you will. But anyway, so here's just a saw wave, but then turn on this, oops, Galactic reverb. How is that just not the coolest reverb? It sounds so good. It's awesome. So I think that reverb is super dope. So I've been making a bunch of pads. I'll show you a couple of them here, just kind of, so as you can see, these are all the ones I've been working on. I don't remember what these sound like, so I'm just going to click one. This one's called Rise of a Thousand Suns. And let me know if the audio levels and everything are good too. They should be decent. So you just have, anywhere you see these green boxes is somewhere that I have modulation. This one doesn't have a ton. Some of them I've gone pretty buck wild with the modulations. I don't remember which ones I have gone wild with, but let's click a couple more and then we'll get into making a new one. Change my. This is a Launchpad Pro, by the way, for those who don't know. It's Launchpad Pro Mark III. It has this awesome note mode feature where you can basically lock all the pads into a scale, and you can select the scales here on this screen. And it's just really fun for brainstorming, because so basically got an octave range there in these four. I set it in a 4 pattern, so every 8 octave, or you got 8 notes there for an octave. But anyway, it's really easy to play chords in this because you have, like, here's your 1 note, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, and octave. So you can play more complex chords and do extensions really easily. So there's like 7th up there, 5th, 3rd. Just fun. So you'll see me playing on this. It's just fun to play on, and it looks cool. And I've actually been playing on this way more than I have on my keyboard back here, just because it's so easy to flip it into scales and even put it into like a minor pentatonic scale. So then if you wanted to pull up something fancy like a guitar, it's just fun and easy to do. So that's what we'll be playing on. Anyway, let's just go straight into making a patch, shall we? I never have any really goals or intention in mind when I'm entering into a patch. I sort of just mess with sounds and see what comes up. I usually turn this other wave off for now and just kind of come in here. I've been doing some single cycle ones. Let's mess with some single cycles. So I just kind of click a random one that sounds good. Let's see what tube science sounds like. And I turn on, because everything is Galactic reverbs, I turn on my reverb pretty quickly. Just cycling through some waves. It's interesting. Turn the cutoff down. What's cool is certain oscillators you can actually bypass the filter. So if I wanted to apply a really heavy cutoff or do some filter work on one oscillator, I can bypass it on other ones. Let's add some modulation to this. So we'll hit this little box here, and this is basically how you modulate these different wheels. And I'm going to just select my first LFO. You have the different degrees to choose from where it starts in the wave. So with like a triangle wave, let's say a sine wave, 0 degrees would be at 0, and then 90 degrees would be all the way full, and then 180 would be 0, then 270 would be at the bottom, and then back to 0 again. So it's kind of cool. You can choose where it starts. So if you want to modulate two things with the same waves but start them in opposite parts of the wave, you can do that, which is pretty cool. You often see being able to assign LFO modulation to things, but you don't always see in plugins the ability to have these varying degrees. So you select what you want to, what the modulation source is, and then you can choose whether it's negatively or positively impacting it here. And in the LFO, you can also choose whether the bias is positive, negative, or bi, which is up and down, bipolar. Try to keep things, I always try to keep the LFO synced, just so whatever project you open it up in, it is reasonably within time, but you can always, when you're loading the presets, turn the sync off. I'm going to actually do one shot this. So one shot means the LFO will cycle once and that's it, which in this case sort of effectively makes it a filter envelope, but it's synced in time, whereas the filter envelope, it's by time, so it wouldn't be synced with whatever project you loaded in. You have to adjust the attack and decay to be in time with your project. And you can see really quickly just with this reverb, even though we only got one wave going, you already start to get a really rich sound, because this, I don't know what is going on in this Galactic reverb, but it sounds awesome. If this was its own separate plugin, just this reverb thing, I'd put it on so many different things, just because I like it a lot. It kind of has a similar sound to some, I guess, like Baby Audio's Crystalline. That sort of is the closest reverb I've used that I can mimic this sound. But that's, you know, a $50 plugin at the intro price. Okay, so then I just try to think, because it's pads, we try to make it nice and big. So I think of ways I can make this thing bigger. So obviously adding in more oscillators, messing with, you know, the string section. So we're just going to kind of add something in. Let's add like a brass section just to see. We're going to have the brass section bypass the filter. And then I'm going to add a second brass section to this other wave here. Maybe even the same brass section, but have it an octave lower. If you want to see how a sound is going, you can solo just the sound, which is nice. Let's actually change this to a different brass sound. Distant brass. What does distant brass sound like? Sort of has a stab to it. I'm actually going to increase the attack on the VCA, on the amplitude envelope, which will sort of effectively kind of bypass that stab. Also, I guess we could also, if I don't want to apply the VCA envelope to the whole track, I can also take this VCF envelope, which is the filter envelope, and you can also modulate with that. So I can modulate the volume with the VCF envelope and turn the attack up, and this will sort of negate that stab. I'm not necessarily going to keep the sound, or nor do I necessarily want to negate the stab. I'm just sort of showing the capabilities of this thing because it's pretty wild. Sort of getting a spooky sound out of it. So effectively now I have the level at 0 because the VCF envelope is my modulation here. So when this is cranked up, basically I'm effectively setting the level of oscillator 2 based on the sustain of the VCF envelope. And then I have attack and decay controls specifically for this sound. So if I want to change the volume of this brass, then I just change the modulation, which changes the sustain, which how much the sustain is impacting the level, which brings the level down. Science. Okay. Now, what we can do is also modulate, just for fun, let's see what it sounds like. Let's modulate the A and B here with another LFO. Let's do a really slow LFO. Sync it up. Let's do 8 beats. Now I sort of want to add kind of a sort of a marching sound to this, if you will. So I'm going to do something. We're going to get crazy again with modulation. So I'm going to take my third LFO here, and I'm going to take a square wave. And let's sync it so it marches in time. Let's go. Let's just do quarter notes for now. And the way we're going to make it march is by applying that third LFO onto the volume knob for this oscillator. Let's see. Yeah, it's kind of like a pluck there. Let's see if we can find another sort of orchestral sound just to... Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so we got both these waves here. Now we can come over here to the volume knob and take our LFO 3. Slower march. There we go. So now it's turning the level knob up and down, which gives us sort of a background march sound. So big. So we're using 5 of the 6 waves here that we have between the 3 oscillators. Haven't even touched the string section yet. Don't know if I will for this one. So now sort of mess with my reverb parameters. So just to show you how big this reverb is, I'm going to play it with and without the reverb. Really easy, just turn it off. You choose here the input, whether you want the synth and the strings to be on each effect. So there's with the reverb. So, I'm going to turn it on here. Just makes it sound so big and epic and giant and like a sci-fi movie. Remember, we have this LFO here on one shot, so this LFO 1 is only going to do its triangle wave up and down whenever we first hit our notes. As soon as we release, it does it again. But if we're sustaining our notes, I don't have it on re-trigger, so as long as you're holding a note down, it won't re-trigger it. So you can sort of play a melody with sort of that bass line sort of chugging. As soon as you move notes, get something else. Yeah, thanks, Damien. Yeah, this it's really easy to make epic sounds with Dreamsynth. It does not take long to build something epic up. So, just for the heck of it, I'm wondering, because I have this single one-shot LFO, what else could I just modulate with that? I sometimes see just how far can I push it, and if it's super wonky, then I'm like, no, never mind. Like we could have like a string swell. We could take that same LFO, apply it to the volume here. So doing a similar thing with that VCF, where the volume's all the way down, and the volume will be modulated based on the LFO cycling. And then we'll also run these strings through reverb, and then it'll just be there for that one hit. We can also, because it's just the one string hit, we could just hit the strings with distortion, for example. So we could, let's say, sample and crush the heck out of that string. So let's just solo on the strings, turn the strings off. I don't know if that necessarily is necessary. Doesn't quite... It definitely adds noise, but I don't know if it's noise that's necessary. Let's change our scale here, just so we don't get tired of hearing the same thing over and over again. Yeah, I don't know if we need that. Let's go ahead and just turn that off. I'm going to turn these off just so when somebody's looking at the preset, they're not like, hey, what are these? And then anytime I save the preset, I always make sure the volume is good. I believe in the manual, it states that you should, and this is, standard sort of gain staging anyway. If you see that it's hitting the red, just dial it back a little bit until it's just out of the red. I mean, I'm peaking, speaking of my microphone is. And we got ourselves a little preset. The hardest part is naming them. I never know what to name them, really. It's so hard. So it's got this really great save screen here. I'll go through and usually rename everything at the end anyway. We'll just name this stream 1 for now. I'll name it later, and I'll put keywords on it later so I can keep rolling. But yeah, you can put keywords here, so that way when you're searching later, you can like just search for keywords and see what pops up, which is nice. Especially since when you get Dreamsynth, it does come with, bundled with a couple other people's packs, so you can having the keywords in there is a nice way to find everything. But yeah, so that's a patch. So let's make another one. Start from scratch again, and again we're just clicking something random. Vocoder Monk. Spooky. Go ahead and turn on our Galactic reverb. I can see this as being a noise type of thing. Let me on here. There's drones in here. So I'm going to turn on one of these atonal sounds in here. There's a link in the description, Damien, if you want to check it out on Cherry Audio's website. I'll have this preset pack available for download, hoping in the next week or so. Trying to get this one finished and wrapped up. So you can turn the keyboard on and off for certain oscillators, so if you don't want it to track, you can turn the keyboard off. And then every note plays the same sound. Then you could, in theory, modulate with this if you wanted to do more pitch stuff. Okay, my phone keeps lighting up and it's pissing me off. Away with you. Okay, so let's say we want to have that noise. Hit it with a little bit of resonance. I'm going to flip these because I actually think I only want the noise, this drone, to hit the filter, and I think I want this vocoder month to bypass the filter. So voice, vocoder monk, and then here was, which atonal did I have? Atonal 5. Drones, atonal 5, just a little flip there. Let's turn that off. Flip that to B. Filter bypass. Let's turn the dampening up on the reverb. This one might be a little too intense. Solo R. Maybe we hit this with a little LFO. Slow this LFO down. I could honestly make just a whole drone pack with this thing with all kinds of crazy drone sounds you can do. Seems we lost our... And if it seems like polyphonic is going to be too much, you can also come over here and put it into a mono, which sometimes is needed. Sort of a spooky sound. Getting real spooky with this one. Let's roll back the volume a little bit. Let's try to add some distortion here. I really like the fuzz distortion. Same LFO as we did before, maybe 180 degrees, so it's inverted from the cutoff of we have over here. And then I'm going to take the same LFO and apply it to level, but I'm going to have it modulate the level down, so as the drive is increasing, the level will decrease, just to sort of keep our levels balanced. sure I'm mixing here as I'm going. Let's hit it with some chorus. Although sometimes when you have this the Galactic reverb cranked, the chorus doesn't necessarily. It already becomes a pretty huge stereo signal, which in this case it is. Okay, now let's add a more musical element to this. Let's do. Let's actually do one of these single cycles. I'm going to take that same LFO that we had before, and I'm going to apply it to my pitch modulation. Actually, we're going to do a new LFO for this. Let's do LFO 2. I want it to kind of go. I want it to sort of fall into it. So we'll take our sawtooth here and have that be our modulator. Oops, and I want it on one shot. And we'll make it really slow. And I just like to make sure, sometimes I pop a tuner on here, because I just like to make sure that it's staying in the right note, that it's not falling out of tune. See if it finds my note. What note am I playing here? This should be a D sharp or an E flat, and it is falling. I'm watching my tuner. Doesn't tell me what it is until I hit the note. Yeah, let's see. Let's go. E flat almost. I could just sit here playing with this tuner knob and it would just sound. It's hard to tune. Okay, so then we land on our note that we wanted. We change the octave. Kind of spooky, right? All right, let's unsolo that. Maybe we'll take that same LFO and apply it to our level here. Oh, I know why that too. I forgot. So the reason I had, typically I was kind of confused because I've done this before where I didn't have to tune the knob, and I was like, why do I have to tune this? I believe it's because I didn't set my bias to positive. So when it's set to positive, when it's at 0, that should be no modulation basically. So now it should fall back down onto the right note. So that was, I was wondering, I was doing that and I was like, I shouldn't have to change my tune knob like this, but so now it should fall onto my E flat. E flat, there it is. Okay. Ha. I knew that there was a different way to do that. I was like, this is not correct, but I'm going to work with it anyway. There we go. Okay, now we're good. Okay, and now let's take that same one shot here. We already turned it on here, LFO2, and let's apply it to the level here. So let's apply it on the positive side, and that'll start it louder and make it quieter. With the goal of having the levels sort of land more so you can hear the note of the radio wave. kind of dries out there. Okay, let's bring our atonal back in. See how loud our atonal is being? Sort of applying. We're going to do a more of a notch filter for this. Something else we could do is also have one of these knobs shift on that same LFO wave, so that as the tune falls down in the radio wave and the level falls down in that monk, we could also have one of these knobs shift over to a different sound and evolve the sound as we're playing along with it. Like maybe this. We could sweep that atonal sound into more of a noise sound. Kind of like the atonal. Goosebumps. So I just try to think of ways to sort of build up the sound. You don't really want to overdo it, because this is going to sit in a mix with other stuff. Although honestly, a lot of these presets, like if I were to make like a cinematic track with Dreamsynth as like a core foundation for the main sound, I probably would only have 2 or 3 other things on top of it. Like the sound of this thing is already so full. I mean, we have a pretty large spectrum of sound already filling sort of our sonic range. So we're not really doing much with panning. Let's even see, turn on a rotary speaker. And as long as we don't lift and we shift to another note, it won't retrigger that envelope until we release and press another one. I like that rotary speaker. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really smooth. Really smooth drone sounds. Yeah, there's a lot of times I'm designing these presets. This pack is taking me so long to make. I've been on this for like 2 weeks just making more of these, because I make these sounds and I just like sit here listening to them and just fine tuning them for like so long. It's because it just sounds so good. It sounds so good. All right, let's do some pan work here. Let's add a little bit of. Let's take this LFO here, sync it to about a half. Let's add this to our panning of our radio wave. And that's just going to sort of let's actually switch this filter to a bandpass. Oh, and I forgot that my radio wave is not bypassing that bandpass actually does not work. I'm wondering if this atonal is too much tuna. Turn down the tuna. Slightly less panning. What does a faster pan rate sound like? Exactly. I'd actually love to make music for really any video games, movies, TV shows, whatever. It's my true passion in calling in music. Alright, now I should probably save this before we get be too crazy. Ready for the tuning drop. It's at some release time. Crazy sound. Hey, Anthony. How's it going? Alright, let's save that one. What should we call that one? I'll always be looking for names for these too. If you guys come up with the names as I'm designing it. We'll call this the Doom Ship, I guess. Pads. Falling wet. I'll have to go through and audit everything and make sure the names are all consistent and stuff. I name them with this Gorley thing initially just so I can track it easier of what I'm working on. Many of us Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix. I've never seen that show or even heard of that show. I'll have to look that up. All right. Well, that was the Doom Ship. I guess I could try and name it Love, Death, and Robots. Alright. We got that one. Boom. See, such epic sounds. We're just gonna randomly select something again. Rounded Teeth. Let's go ahead and turn that Galactic reverb on. I don't mess with nothing else. You hear how just cool that sounds? You know, just a, single cycle, wave by itself, dry, whatever. Galactic reverb. Could make a whole preset pack of just choosing random single cycle reverbs and slapping Galactic reverb on there and be like, this is my Galactic Pads preset pack. Nah. Where's the fun in that? Okay. Something that's kind of fun with this is you have this arpeggiator up here, but you can apply it only to strings or the synth. So you can turn it on the strings only. Mess with my attack and release here. Turn this not all ideas have to become the idea either. Fun if I can modulate the arpeggiator now. Turn those strings off for now. So, I wonder if I can do something weird with these. There's a lot of one-shot drums in here. And I was wondering if I can do something weird with these. Tribal drum? Let's turn the keyboard off. Interesting. Let's turn the dampening up. reverb. Add a second drum on here. Let's just see how wild we can get with this. That way every time you hit it, you sort of have a kick hitting, more or less. Metal tub, there's so many drums. I haven't even listened to a lot of these drum ones. I could probably make a whole sequence thing, actually, where I could probably sequence a drum pattern with this thing, with all the different modulation things that are in here. Hit drag, what is that? Let's see. Disco Tom. Interesting, right? Move my keyboard action for a second. Interesting. It's just fun to experiment in this thing. So there's so much exploration to do. So to make that interesting, in case it already isn't interesting, we can take let's take an LFO on a square wave. Because this is more of a drum thing, let's make sure we're sequenced here. Although I don't hear my metronome, so we're gonna apply this to our panning. And now, a little bit of not super smooth. Let's actually just take a regular sine wave. See that panning we get now? I wonder if we take that same sine wave, just apply it to our tuning, just to make it sound like it's a little bit more of a. What'd you miss? Oh, we're just designing all kinds of fun, sort of big sounds in Dreamsynth, all oriented around this Galactic reverb that is in here. It's part of the Galactic Pads preset pack. So you just missed some fun sounds. There'll be more, don't worry. Two, then we can also. So let's find. Oh, this is adding too much percussion in one thing might be crazy, but we're already doing it, so let's keep doing it. I am looking for snares. There's a DT snare, which I don't know what that sounds like. Trying to think of ways I can make this snare weird. Maybe snare will be the option. I'm almost looking for like a cinematic kind of snare, like a military snare, if you will. Oop, turn the keyboard off. That'll help. I don't know about the snare. We're already stretching it with these kicks. We got some delay, some dampening to really make these kicks punch more. Let's turn off the reverb for a sec. Let's solo this. Let's turn that spread up. Actually, we'll keep the spread down because we're actually panning our drums anyway. So we actually get a bit of stereo delay just from the fact that every time I feed a signal in, it could be in a different area of the field. Now, if we didn't want the drums to necessarily be the same every time, we can come here to a noise LFO. And let's apply this noise LFO, which I set as LFO2, to our volume knob. Let's turn the modulation up on that, turn the level down. And change the rate here. See what's our rate at for our pan quarter. So this is going to be 2. Let's re-trigger that. Let's have this as one shot. Re-trigger it. Should generate basically a different CV every time, although that will give you more of a randomized volume for the drums, which might not necessarily be as ideal. Yeah, now they kind of just come in sort of sporadically, which is not necessarily what we're looking for. Consistency for something like that is key. Let's set this back up. And we have our delay. Just remember, we have our reverb off. Actually, let's turn the feedback up a little bit more. All right, turn that reverb back on. With the drums. We want it to be somewhat of a point of emphasis. It's kind of fun. I actually like this patch a lot more than I thought I was going to as I was making it. Let's turn the drums up more though. Alright, and you think we're done there. We are not. I am hearing something else that I could put in here, which is a one shot of almost like a crash even. Out ding, Taco Bell, and harmonic winding, Xylo, yada yada. Back to our one shots. Is there some sort of... You know, it could even be noise. I could even one-shot it with noise. So one shot. So we're going to have our LFO3 here. One shot, not re-trigger. And we are going to apply LFO3 to our volume knob here. little bit of bagpipes from this. That's what's interesting when you start messing around with a lot of like reverb effects and some of these like single wave cycle things, is that you get these sounds, yeah, like bagpipes and other stuff. There's a couple times where I've made things and it sounds like an organ, but like when you isolate every individual sound, nothing sounds like an organ, but together it's like this epic organ symphony. Yeah, it'd be fun like that. Okay, so we'll have this level all the way down. And then the modulation will be higher. The modulation is this triangle, or not triangle, sorry, sawtooth here. So it's going to start high, and then it's going to lose the volume down, and it's only on a one shot with no retriggering. So the noise will come in just once. I'll have it be slower than that, though. So the rate dictates how fast your noise drop will be in this case. A little too noisy to start with. Let's give this a second sound. So let's see if we can actually we will find some sort of more percussive sound this time. Solo this. Let's find crash, 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 crash. Looking for a crash. Looking for a crash. It's okay. I kind of like that. Exactly what I'm looking for is in here because it forces me to be creative. A lot of these things I don't even know what they would sound like because some of them are just like funny sounds. Like what is a flum? All right, that's fine. We don't need exactly. There's sort of. All right. Let's make that noise longer. That was too long. Still too long. It was getting hard with those stretches. I was holding the pitcher wheel down the whole time on my other keyboard, so it's hard to do those big stretches. That's what I like about this Launchpad, though, is you can do these crazy fingerings you can't do. Like, I can cover 1, 2, 3, 5. It's 5 octave ranges with one hand. You can't do that on a keyboard. And holding down each of the octave notes on the way. Yeah, these are all stock to Dreamsynth. Everything you see here is stock to Dreamsynth. Yeah, all these sounds, these are all default, just they come with Dreamsynth. I know, there's a lot. It's freaking amazing. First Scottish Galactic Battalion. See them marching over the hills, squeezing some kind of squid and banging their drums. The stuff of nightmares. Scottish Galactic. Maybe that's what I think I'll call that one. The Scottish Galactic Battalion. Or at least just Galactic Battalion. So good. So fun. I love this. This is great. Galactic. Is that one? Yeah, it is one L. You think I would know the thing's Galactic. Galactic Battalion. March. March? It's kind of, because it's kind of like, right, they're like the war drums. Galactic Battalion. War drums? Galactic Battalion. We'll just call it Galactic Battalion for now. Pads. Drums. Oops, not want a spotlight search. I guess we'll type bagpipes since that was the vibe. I'm going to put Scottish as a keyword. So great. Yeah, I mean, it literally, everything is just like, I mean, for the most part, just kind of been like randomly selecting things of the different like single cycles and things like that, and you know, seeing what ideas stick. But through the course of me doing this, of all these presets, there has yet to be something that like didn't work to some degree. Like everything seems like it can make it work. Yeah, Damien, I actually have a video coming out soon about the Launchpad and how this is sort of the future, I think, of playing keys, because a MIDI keyboard is pretty binary. It's on off, and then it also is measuring velocity. But there's no like aftertouch stuff. Like this has aftertouch to it, so you can do some things with aftertouch. Actually, even okay, because we're talking about it. Watch this. I think that there is poly aftertouch right here in Dreamsynth. Let's apply that to the cutoff, so I can change my pressure. Adjust things within here. So I have the velocity of what you get on a keyboard, and here let me actually turn the velocity up, because velocity is a envelope modulation on here. So I have velocity just like a keyboard, but you also get this polyphonic aftertouch. But what's really cool about it, now this is becoming a Launchpad commercial, but this is basically what I'll be talking about in the Launchpad video as well, is you so a keyboard, if you want to learn a scale, the scale is different depending on what your root note is and what's on your black keys and what's not. Whereas this, everything's the same. So whether my root key is, if I want to do a minor for a C sharp, it's the exact same setup as though I am in like an E minor or an F minor. So you only have to learn the chord relations between everything. So because you can choose, you can make it to where everything is chromatic. So like these are your black keys and these are your white keys or whatever. Or actually these are in scale, these are out of scale. But you can actually lock all the notes to just whatever your scale is, which is super cool. And you can also choose how many like notes appear. So I have it every 4 notes it goes to the next line. But you can also do like 5, which goes to the next line. But the reason I do 4, and there's also like 1, so 1 would be just straight across is all your octaves. But I do the 4 specifically because playing chords is like the easiest through this. And there's also a chord mode, which you can use to play chords. But I like to play chords in here because you can do these like really fun like extensions and suspensions and inversions and all kinds of stuff. So this is my root note. That's my 3rd, 4th, and then 5th. So there's my 5th. And then 6th, 7th, and then 8, 9. So you have 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 in this sort of like grid here. And so it's really easy to just like play these chords, and then the pinks are your root notes. So if I want to play a 5th an octave up, I can do this, extension. Or if I want to play my 5th down here, and this would be my root note, I'm down 2 octaves playing a 5th or a 7th or a minor 9th. So it's fun. Keith McMillan, sitting here on my desk, but I haven't had a chance to play around with it. any pads yet. Yeah, I like these pads. There's also something called the Linstrument, which is like a bigger version of this, which I think that I'd actually like just a bigger launch pad, because I actually emailed Robert Lin about his instrument, and if he ever plans on having this note mode in here where you can select all, because these are all different scale types, so minor, major, you know, Mixolydian, there's minor pentatonic, there's a couple kinds in here. And he doesn't want to ever do this because he likes the idea of keeping the accidentals, and it's so big he doesn't think this is necessary. I completely disagree with him, but it's not my product, so whatever. Because the thing is that even when you're playing like this, when you switch from a minor to a major, the relationship between the notes is different. So a minor chord is fingered different than a major chord. So as you play in a Mixolydian or Lydian or changing your modes, you have to know which chords are major and minor and change between them, and it's way harder. Whereas here, whether it's major or minor doesn't matter. So because the relationship is all that matters between the notes. So here I have like a C major scale. So there's my major chord. But then if I play the relative minor, A minor, the exact same fingering plays a minor chord. So you don't have to like relearn the chord structure. All you need to know is the theory between the relationship between the notes, and like when to go from like a, you know, from your root to a third to a fourth, fifth, and then like switching to your relative minor, and then the minor chords within that scale on your second and third. So yeah, it's just like really easy to like play and compose like really crazy stuff without having to think about, oh, what are my chord things? So if you wanted to play in like a Hungarian minor, you can without needing to relearn your finger positioning. Seems to be the most effective in a four. Yeah, this is $300. I mean, the Linstrument is like, for the big one, it's like $1,500. Like, I'd rather have 2 launch pads than, you know, this huge thing, and then I can scale it down if I need to. Yeah, this is like the most amazing and revolutionary like piece of music equipment that I've seen for such a low price. It's amazing, and it has like a sequencer built into here, so you got like step sequencing. The sequencing has 4 different channels for sequencing with 8 patterns for each channel, so you can record all these different patterns. I don't usually do sequencing a lot, but it's really powerful for that. There's like a custom MIDI thing where you can set your own thing for like levels and stuff like that. And it also is a session thing for Ableton, so you can like trigger different notes and different scenes and different patterns and stuff with an Ableton, and use it as an Ableton controller, just like you can an APC Mark 40. So yeah, it's like mind-boggling power. Like anybody using, and I think they have a version for FL Studio now as well, I think. But yeah, it's really good for Ableton for sure. And I'm not sure, you know, all the DAWs it works with, but even if you don't have Ableton, you can use this as a MIDI controller for your synths. Like I put it up here next to these synths all the time, where this machine is at. I have it sitting up here next to my synths, so I can like sit here easily playing notes and do that and play with my synths. And yeah, it's like ridiculous. But anyway, sidebar on that. There'll be a video. I got a video coming out about it soon, because especially talking about chord relations, I have a cheat sheet coming out for this as well, to kind of be easier to tell what these scales are and a bunch of other stuff, and learning chord relations easier. Yeah, this is amazing. I play with this more than I play with my. This is like a trigger. What's the word? Hammer action keyboard. So it like feels like a real keyboard, but even then, I still use this a lot of times. But anyway, back to Dreamsynth. See that Dreamsynth MPE support. Does Launchpad have MPE? I haven't been doing any MPE with his presets just because I didn't want to make anything that was not accessible. I am planning on doing some here today with using the mod wheel to do a bunch of stuff. But yeah, I mean, you have like the poly aftertouch. Like here we have it controlling the cutoff frequency. And I think, actually, do I have it set on the right? I don't even know if I have it on the right aftertouch. There's a couple different aftertouch settings in Launchpad that deal with polyphonic versus monophonic aftertouch, and I forget which one it's on, because I usually don't mess with it too much. But yeah. Anyway, such as that. You know, the thing it doesn't have is like sliding doesn't necessarily sound the best. I mean, I think it's fine for a lot of cases, but, you know, it's not a full chromatic slide, so it's not like sliding down like a fretboard. And that's where something like an instrument or like a Rolly C board or, what's the other one? There's another one that's a popular one. Is that the Keith McMillan one? That's like the flat key bed with the red and black keys. Anyway, Such digression, but that's what it's about. It's digression and questions here, isn't it? Has it really only been an hour? Wow. It's because we're doing these galactic sounds, so, you know, time travels slower. Because we're in space. We're on that planet, that interstellar planet, where time goes slow. That's a fun soundtrack. There's a tick in that song when they're on that planet in Interstellar. I don't know if you know this, but there's a tick in the song that Hans Zimmer put in, and the tick is every time you hear that tick, it actually is like I think it's like a year passes by on Earth or something like that. It's kind of cool. Fun things. One of the many reasons Hans Zimmer is a genius. Let me just hit new on this patch because I messed this up. Okay. There are some others like Keith McMillan. Yeah, the MP does have a lot of catching up. That's why I hope they make a new version of Launchpad. Like Novation could like go after, they could really take a lot of the instrument crowd because, and there's nothing against the instrument. It's a really awesome keyboard. I just wish that, because he's very focused on like slides, and MPE is very much so the focus of the instrument, and that's why he doesn't want the scale mode in there. Is because I asked him and he's like, yeah, like glides, you can't do glides and all these things, which I get, but. You know, all it would be is just a software update, and he could have this in there, and it just drives me crazy. It doesn't sound like it's going to be a thing because otherwise the instrument does everything else I wanted to do. I just wish it also had this as just an option. But anyway, that's right. We're in a weird mode right now. I don't know what scale this is in. We're going to keep it in it though, just for fun. Okay, let's find some sounds. Synthwave, let's go distant interval. Why does this, oh, I'm an idiot. I'm like, why is this not making any sound changes? I'm messing on the wrong one. I have 2 instances of this loaded, and I did the wrong one. Let me put this back because this was actually something really cool. And I wanted to, that was an idea I sketched. Wrong track, this track, there we go. It's like, how come? Okay, so I mentioned the mod wheel, so I'm going to do some stuff. We're going to have a mod wheel preset here that's going to sort of function as sort of an expressive. Interesting. Let's turn on my Galactic reverb. What am I doing? Let's get a couple different sounds. So we're gonna have a mod wheel. So I have a mod wheel. You won't see me turning a mod wheel because I have a pedal, expression pedal hooked to my Keylab, which is actually, speaking of, I gotta set it to the right channel. Channel, oops, CC 1. Okay, so I have a foot pedal that is basically my mod wheel, so I'll be using it. So you won't see me turn anything because the Launchpad does not have a mod wheel or a pitch bend, which is a critique of it, but as long as you have a MIDI instrument near you for that, but it's kind of lame you have to have an instrument hooked up with a mod wheel and pitch bend just to do that. Okay, so we got that. Let's add in a bit of a low pad as well. Fill in the spectrum here. That's interesting. And if this doesn't go low enough for you, you can transpose the master transposition down an octave. I just make sure I'm not going so low that the low end of the keyboard is not registering, because that's useless. Big brass. Let's get wild. Let's add 2 instances of big brass separated. already getting pretty big here. Maybe we'll tune this one to a fifth, which would be 7 semitones. Let me actually go back to a regular thing for a second. Let's see. Tune it down a fifth, so minus 5 semitones. It's too low. Too low. Back up to 7. Where was our chord? What we were doing there? We were doing an extended. Velocity a bit. Okay. So now that we have some huge sounds, so this is going to be a mod wheel patch. So we're going to have our mod wheel change a couple things in order to change the expression of the synth. So we can say the cutoff. So mod wheel will do the cutoff. And then an easy one also is just to hit the volumes as well. So we'll do a mod wheel on both of these. Let's actually pull back the levels a little bit of each, and then let the mod wheel modulate that. So I got the pedal. I wish maybe I should put the pedal up on my thing or something. That's full. That's down. Not quite as much expression as we want. Let's mod wheel the resonance, but we're gonna actually invert this. So we'll have the resonance up, and as we turn the mod wheel up, it'll actually pull the resonance down. Let's go extreme with the cutoff filter. Keyboard tracking off for the filter because we're going to let our mod wheel control our filter. Let's go even deeper on this cutoff. So I'm fully open. So I'm basically... What you can basically do, if you're trying to figure out what sort of set your modulation levels for and how much it's going to modulate, like here I have the mod wheel all the way up, which means that this is where my endpoint is going to be, which then you can adjust your modulation amounts based on this endpoint. We'll also have a little bit of LFO on this cutoff as well, just so that it adds a little bit more movement. So we're basically modulating the modulation. Okay, let's see. We could have a rotary speaker dry wet also on the mod wheel. So as the mod wheel goes up, we turn our dry wet signal up. way to sort of brighten it is we could also add our mod wheel to our dampening to open up the dampening. And because it's going to get brighter, we also, with the mod wheel, might want to bring the decay down so that we don't have bright sounds sort of reverberating really intensely. Just moving my pedal up and down for my mod wheel. Now, I sort of hear that there could still be some kind of punch down low. So let's go ahead, maybe even mess with the pulse wave here. This is bypassing the filter. So all of our mod wheel work that's changing our filter is not going to impact our pulse. A specific idea versus experimenting with settings, see what works. I would say typically, oftentimes it's more experimenting with a setting. More often, if I'm going to do something like, oh, what can I, if I try to modulate something weird using the arpeggiator and other stuff, or whatever, I usually have more of an idea. I very rarely, and this even goes for my music, I very rarely have an idea which I sit down and I try to capture. I usually just sort of like to just randomize things and see what happens. Not necessarily randomize presets or like knobs, but like, randomize waves and just sort of see what sounds good. And then once I have initial sound, then I sort of build off of that. So like here, I hear this like that there could be some kind of like sort of bassy low end sort of thing in here. So now I'm going to build for that. But to start it, I didn't have any idea of what this was going to become. I just knew I was going to make a mod wheel preset, but I didn't know what the mod wheel was going to modify, other than I knew it was going to be some sort of expression and sort of brighten it, kind of like a Spitfire sort of thing. But otherwise, I would say when I'm building a patch, it's just going for it and just sort of listening to it and sort of listen for where the holes are at. Like, is there a sonic gap that needs to be filled in that's missing, and maybe filling in that. Yeah. I mean, the premise of this preset pack is Galactic Pads, so everything has to sort of have a galactic sound to it. But honestly, the galactic reverb really carries the load there. It's interesting that you sort of lose the pulse as the mod wheel changes. We're bypassing the filter, but just from, I guess, the reverb effects and stuff like that is enough to dampen our pulse wave, which is interesting. So what we can do is have our mod wheel change our pulse width. And because we lose a little bit of it, we could also have our mod wheel turn up our volume. I don't know if I'm sold on this pulse wave though. Let's go to this bass here and see. Maybe we won't filter maybe we won't bypass filter. Could also invert this so that the as the mod wheel goes up, our bass gets quieter. I know slap bass seems random on this, but let's go into record mode here. Feeling this one. It still feels a little flat. It's almost those brasses were sort of so there's a bit. You hear that sort of choral sound, that sort of choir almost sounding like it's happening? Even though there is no choir. I'm thinking, instead of the brass, we accentuate this choir sound. So let's go to voice. Solo the choir. There it is. That's what we're looking for. Okay, we got our mod wheel impacting this. Let's have it actually turn down as we get louder. As our mod wheel goes up, rather. Excuse me. Actually, we'll invert that. We will go louder. Gonna need a name for this one. It's a pretty sound, isn't it? I'm not convinced that there shouldn't be. Just needed a little extra in the low end there. We can even have our mod wheel, because it's a mod wheel patch, we can even have our mod wheel change the volume of our AB here, because why not? We could even have it, for the sake of brightening, we could have a really high choral here, and we could have our mod wheel tune us from our lower to our higher one. So as I'm hitting my mod wheel, it's going from A to B. Just for some more brightness. Let's go to E minor real quick. I'm gonna play two keyboards at once. just curious if I had tap played that down low, if it would sound interesting, but it needs an actual art base on it. But yeah, there we go. We'll call that good for this patch, I think, for now. I'll come back through and edit all these and polish everything, and I make sure I mix all the patches so that way they're all at the same level. Now comes the part of naming it. Yeah, I mean, keep them unique. I mean, I can go back through and see if some of them sound the same, but I mean, if one sounds similar than the other, you could do something different with the other one, like maybe add some distortion to it, maybe, you know, drop it and or like change what the filter modulation does or something like that. I mean, you can very quickly with all these modulation parameters make a sound very different. Like I could take this patch, probably turn like a couple knobs and make it sound like a completely different thing, which I can show you here in a second once I save this one. We're just gonna call this one Nebula Choir for now. Pads. Choir, bright, choral. So you can take this and very quickly make it kind of give it like a burnt sound here, give it some fuzz distortion. And this is, you know, this isn't to make a patch, this is just to show how turning a couple knobs you can very quickly get a different sound. Or you could just even, bloop, just change these pads to different pads. Maybe you mute one of these things. And you can pretty quickly start to get different sounds. So, yeah, I'm not super worried about things sounding exactly the same. Oops, my sustain pedals. Ah, what's going on? MIDI panic button! Also, I love it when there's a MIDI panic button in MIDI things. Because sometimes I get these sustain things, mostly, not necessarily because there's anything wrong with the plugin, but because my actual MIDI setup sometimes triggers long sustain notes. But yeah, I mean, it's possible things sound similar, but you know, if there's like a theme, like this is like Galactic Pads theme for this preset pack. So if things sound, you know, somewhat similar, it's a similar branded kind of thing. So you're going to have some level of consistency anyway. But I mean, yeah, things otherwise for the most part sound completely different, but it just depends. Like, here's like this Beasts of Mystery one, which needs to be level controlled, which, like I said, I come through later and make sure all my levels are good, because some of these come in a little hot from the wormhole. I mean, when you're constructing them, if your tactics of how you construct them are different, they probably won't sound the same. But honestly, there's just so many sounds in here that it'd be really hard to make two that sound the same. I mean, there's a lot. Look at all these single cycle things, these one shots. There's some FM synth stuff, so it would be rather challenge. I'd almost challenge you to blindly make two. I don't know. I'm not super worried about it. It doesn't usually happen. But I like to, you know, I'll just work in different sections. Like I haven't done an FM synthesis thing in a long time, so I'll come in here and mess with these FM synth sounds and see what we got in here. Galactic Pads, turn that galactic reverb on. Haven't done a lot of Let me change up my key here just to make things sound different. Sometimes as I'm designing, I'm like in the same key for like 20 minutes. Okay, let's see. Let's do some envelope modulation here. And let me find another FM synth sound here. So initially I kind of just like sort of spitball. I just kind of move fast, sort of just mess with ideas. We could take our VCF envelope we're working with here and have it modulate this volume knob. I haven't messed with the distortion yet on the stream, and I love messing with distortion with synths. Let's go ahead and do that. I do wish that I could... there's very few critiques I have about this plugin, but one of them, the most major, I would say, is that I can't... some of these don't have the same amount of modulation parameters, so like I can't take my VCF envelope and apply it to any of my effects, which it is what it is. There's ways around it, but... like taking like a triangle wave and just tuning it to make it do what I want. But I wish I could take my like VCF envelopes and apply them to these modulation things down here. I mean, look at this modulation menu down here for these compared to the oscillator screen, which has the most modulation stuff. And that goes for, there's another section. Oh, is it, yeah, like here you can't modulate with anything else either. Tiny little thing, which I suppose they could update in the software to be able to use your envelope down here, but it's whatever. It's not, definitely not the end of the world, because the amount of sonic capability in this thing is insane anyway. Oh, also a randomize button for presets would be fun. I like randomized buttons in apps. Okay, so we got some drive going. So let's do a single one shot here of a envelope just to get a quick distortion flare, just a one shot, and we'll also apply that subtractively to our level just to keep our audio level similar. Okay, and let's try throwing some strings in the mix here. Because the strings don't have a lot of, they don't have as much sound design capability behind them, I don't use them as much. But what is nice is that you can isolate synth and strings on each effect. So if you really want to mess with like the sound of the strings, you could just apply an effect just to the strings, which typically can be done through distortion, but I'm using distortion here. Yeah, it does seem like a lot at first, but if you kind of just sum it down, like you have, you know, each oscillator section is the same, and there's 3 oscillators. Each of these LFOs is the same, and there's 3 of them, and then just your envelopes over here and effects down here. It looks like it's a lot, but it's actually really simple, which is pretty cool. This is actually a great, if you're learning synthesis, is actually a really fun plugin to use, just because there is so many different modulation things, but you can ignore like all these little knobs down here with these little plus and minuses. These are all different, just these is how you assign modulation. So if you ignore those, each of these sections is actually just pretty simple synthesis stuff. So I'm applying an arpeggiator to the strings, which I've done this a couple times. Oh, but actually, okay, why does my sustain keep blocking? Don't know why my sustain keeps tripping out. Not a plugin problem, hardware problem, it's a personal problem. It happens across the board with me. Did I turn something down? Why is it so quiet now? What did I turn down? Why am I so quiet all of a sudden? What's going on here? Why is my sustain pedal making my thing louder? Oh, I'm soloing strings first of all. And that's because I had an arpeggiator on, and my attack is... There we go. Personal problems. It's always a personal problem. Let's take these strings, give them a wet delay signal. Slow this arpeggiator down. To really slow it down, actually. Just getting weird seeing how crazy can we make this string section. It will also apply some tuning to this using LFO2. We use LFO1? Yes, we have. Let's go LFO2 on a square wave. Let me turn my arpeggiator off for a sec. So I want to tune this to make sure that we're not... I want to make sure that it stays in tune, as it's even as the pitch is being... I think we're okay. Okay, so now we got that sound going on. Let's turn our arpeggiator back on. Can't hear the strings in the mix. Turn the arpeggiator back up, actually. Really getting experimental with this now. Just playing with. Down our FM. Maybe apply that first single hit LFO just to the cutoff, as well as maybe some resonance. which gives it an additional boost on top of the VCF envelope already modulating my filter. Let's go ahead and mess with our... we'll actually use an oscillator pitch for our pan here, because these are just smooth sine waves. Let's take actually oscillator pitch 2, because we're using 1. Just to give those strings a little more flair. Turn off the keyboard track of the envelope. Yeah, we'll keep it on a little bit. Now, adding another wave might be a little too much. But let's see what happens. Let's go. That's the sound we added. Bypass filter on it just to see. But we can still take our VCF envelope and apply that to our level here. Let's also take that oscillator, is it oscillator 2 envelope we use in this pan here? Oscillator 2 pitch envelope. Let's put that on here, and let's invert that from our strings panning. Artificial chorus, if you will. Well, just auto panning. Instead of the VCF envelope, we're going to use our first LFO to do this because it's a single shot, and I kind of want the brass to just disappear after it swells in. Solo that. Granted, we have a million delay things going on. That's a fast one shot. So let's go ahead and make this into oscillator or LFO 3. We'll do a similar thing. We'll just do a regular triangle with a swell. Let's do a 4-beat swell, positive one shot. Kind of a little ambient thing going on. things sort of arpeggiate their way in and out of the mix a little bit. Well, that's nice. I don't even know what to call that one. The... I don't know, cosmic swelling? I don't even know. Naming these is so hard. Distant patterns. We'll call it distant patterns for now. And we'll come up with some keywords later. Boy. Now let's transition into something really aggressive and hard. Now that I've got you all calmed down. Alright, next one. How many do we got right now? Getting near 50. Some of these I don't know if we'll make it into this. There's one or two that are kind of weird. This 808 bass one is really cool. It's not really an 808 bass, but it kind of is. I have another war. We did a War Drums one today. We did Battalion, Cosmic Galactic Battalion, and we have Intergalactic War Drums. There's another one with drums. Well, that's more of a... I'm going to show you this. This is quite the... I'm trying to work up to this 808 bass one. I want to show it to you. But it's a little intense to just jump right into. Targeting system, this is a fun one. This is more of a bass. This is less sort of spacey. Put it in a minor. I'm going to show you this 808 bass one. This is kind of fun. This one's probably going to be called like Man Your Battle Stations or something. Just a fun one. That one's not as much of a pad as much as it is a bass sound. There'll probably be 3 or 4 bass sounds in here. But yeah, I probably shouldn't bounce my foot like that. You probably can hear it bouncing. I'm sorry if that was annoying. All right. So, going back to when I think it was Cax was asking about... Was it Nova that was asking about it? Somebody was asking about how I think about... Somebody was asking about how I make patches going in. So, so let's think of something I haven't done in a while here. Oh, we haven't done anything with a noise LFO wave, anything too chaotic. There's a lot of fun stuff. You can basically use it as like a sample and hold, and you can do all kinds of fun stuff with that, from like making things resonate like crazy, sort of making like a 303 style kind of bass sequence. So we can do that. So we'll mess with that. Is there something else we can do as well? Maybe inverting keyboard track. Haven't done that. A little too much bass. Man, your battle stations. It's It's a fun one. Okay, and let's just go ahead and power up our Galactic reverb. Okay, so if we are going to be messing with the sample and hold type of thing, let's find something that, well, let's do a triangle wave actually. We're going to start with a simple analog wave. And let us take this sample and hold thing. We'll sync it. Let's go triplets. It's good to force a triplet into people's mix every now and then. Okay, LFO1. So we're going to have it modulate the cutoff, and we're just going to keep our resonance high. And we got our keyboard track pretty low. Ooh, let's put it on positive bias. Let's turn the rate up more. Faster. Oh, analog drift. Yeah, so this is basically like how much you want to... it's sort of like the analog circuit modeling, so how accurate you want the analog drift to be. So here, let me turn this one off, and let me just turn on a clean... Well, actually, let me just turn this off real quick, and turn this off real quick. So let's say we have... Oops, sorry about that. Let's just put it on multiple saw waves here. So with analog, because, and I'm sure Robert here from Cherry Audio can explain this much better in proper analog synth terms. But anytime you're dealing with any sort of analog circuitry, there's a certain level of chaotic, chaos in there, so to speak, where every time the electrical current is traveling through the real analog circuit, it's not always consistent, so sometimes you can get little phase sounds and stuff like that. So analog drift is sort of like a simulator to sort of almost, it's like a precision of the circuits kind of thing. So with it all the way down to 0, you're going to get these really precise circuits, no phasing. As you turn it up, you're going to get more of a natural phase sound, which you would actually get in a lot of analog stuff. Like I had like these Behringer synths back here. Like if I'm doing 2 oscillators, even if I'm trying to like precisely tune them and everything, the exact same oscillator, it is almost impossible to like completely remove the analog drift. So as you turn it up, they get more sort of phasey with each other and you know, less precise. But all the way down to 0, and you pretty much remove phasing and it becomes like a digital oscillator almost with how perfect it is. So having a little bit of analog drift sort of adds some of that natural sort of warm phasing that you would get from an actual analog synthesizer. And that's something that Cherry Audio is really good at doing. Is Cherry Audio is, in my opinion, one of the best companies that like does analog modeling. There's a lot of companies that try to make take, you know, like real analog synths and turn them into soft synths, but they don't always get the analog modeling down, and that's something that Cherry Audio has always been like really good at doing. So yeah, so it's just another element you have that, again, even though there's a lot of soft synths that are modeling after analog things, they wouldn't normally put this analog drift thing in here because they would just kind of say, oh, we modeled it the best, this is the way it's going to be. So it's cool they added this in here. It's just another sound design element that you can throw into things. I always kind of keep it around the default. Sometimes I'll mess with it. I don't know if it plays a role in much if you're using like single cycle. Actually, let me see. Gargoyles, what's going on? So it does a little bit of something. Even on the single cycles, was mostly for the analog ones. But yeah, anyway, what was I doing? Let me undo all of that. Go back. Till I see my knobs. Go back to revert. Okay, back to this thing. So Gargoyles, we are making some galactic sounds using Cherry Audio's Dreamsynth. We can even add some delay into this mix to make it even more poppin'. What is our sample and hold at? It is at 1/16 triplets. Let's do this quarter triplets. turn off our synth on our reverb. Hear what our delay is doing. Back to Galactic. What does it sound like if I switch this to like a ramp? And let's have one also maybe be a triangle. And then we can set this from the VCF envelope, so every time we strike a note, it will shift over into a triangle. Let's turn this off just to hear that shift. I was like, why is it not shifting? I forgot to set the modulation. Set the mod depth. Pretty subtle. We'll know it's doing. We'll know it's there though. That's right, we have negative keyboard track on, which, now that I'm in it, I don't know if I want. There you go. There's the Cherry Audio official explanation. Okay, now let's give this a little bit of grit. Give it some teeth. Or actually, let's get weird with the strings and some let's hit the same noise generator on our modulation for our drive, but negatively. Let's add a... Oh, camera come back? I hate that it does that. Let's add the second LFO here to our level for our strings. Just get that little pulse of that. That same LFO to play with the panning instead strings. Actually, instead of that, is that a rotary speaker on my strings? I think that's actually too much tuna. Which is the rate of our sample and hold. So we are on a 91 beats per minute project. I'm turning my tempo up. You're gonna hear it go up, and that's because changing my tempo. Hey, no problem, Gargoyles. Thanks for testing that instrument. Gargoyles is talking about my antique zither, decent sampler instrument, which I created and he tested for me. So, shout out to Gargoyles for helping me test that thing. It's my tempo here at 128. A temp metronome going in the background, which I know you can't hear, but I'm just trying to figure out the best way to set my sync to be in time with an actual beat per minute project. H-Contunes, hello. Okay, now let's add in another element here. What's something we've been ignoring? We've been ignoring this keyboard. Organ swell. What does that sound like? Let's bypass the filter. And so, because we're bypassing the filter, that's going to give us a little more consistent sound while the noise generator over here on our LFO is doing all kinds of crazy stuff throughout this project. But perhaps we still want it to do something. So we could say keyboard, let's add in organ swell and organ bell. Oops, let's solo this. So we could take our noise generator here, an LFO1, and it's on a positive bias, so it's only going to go up, it's never going to go down. So let's go ahead and pull this A to here, and we'll have it to control the A and B. Let's just see. So there's without it. There's with it. It's just going to maintain that rhythmic sound we have with the noise and apply it to our lead instrument, since it's bypassing the filter, which would not bypassing have all this craziness to it. Are we losing our strings now? A little bit. Mix everything here. Another interesting pad. We do have that noise going, so if we want, we can also apply a little bit of that LFO with the noise to the resonance. If we wanted to get even more. bleepy and bloopy. You know what I forgot to do is on that preset we made a bit ago with the mod wheel. I forgot to name mod wheel at the end so people knew. That's what it did. I don't remember what preset it was either. Like almost there to be a little bit of subtle tremolo on the organ, just so that keep that pulse going. Also what's applied here? Yeah, LFO2. We're playing it to volume here as well. So here we have it inverted. So here the volume drops on the organ swell as the volume increases on the strings, which... That's alright. Let's have it extend higher there on the strings. Alright, now I gotta give this a Galactic theme name. Software. We don't want to make sure we're not doing that to ourselves, because people are going to download this and use it, and it needs to be perfect. Alright, I'm not sure what to name this one. I will come back and name this later. Well, we can give it... let's call it, yeah, name later. And if there ends up being a preset in the preset pack called name later, you'll know I forgot to name it later. But I won't, because I need to rename all these. I need to change the naming convention and reorganize them. One of the many housekeeping things to do when you're making preset packs. Okay. Boom. New one from scratch. Anybody got a vibe or an inspiration they're looking for? Or a name? If you come up with a cool, like, space name, that would be a cool name for a preset. I can design around a name as well. Haven't much messed with these effects. Focus. Cool sound of these, my friend. Thank you. It's yeah, I like, this is one of my favorite parts of the musical process is sound design. I love this stuff, and that's why it's like I'm so bad at like finishing music, because I love like just my favorite part of the process is just like exploring and messing with new sounds and just like kind of getting lost in something for 15 minutes. And anytime I save like I'll have like a project where I have a bunch of things going on, and I never come back to it and work on it. Like I've been doing like these symphony things. Like here, I'll play a demo for you. Like I make all these things, I don't know when I'm ever going to come back to them. Like here's like I've been making these like spooky Halloween things. And I like make it, so this was all like one scene, this was like an hour's worth of work, and then I like rarely ever come back to it. This was using the BBC chord symphony. But I just like love following an idea and inspiration and running with it, and then I'm so bad at coming back to anything and finishing it up. So I was like just jiving with this for an hour, and then I have to come back to it. Ludicrous speed. I can work with that. This was for a placement for like a Halloween themed movie. Anyway, I digress. Ludicrous speed. I can work with that. I'm going to commit to this ludicrous speed thing so hard that we're going to just up front save this preset as ludicrous speed. Okay, so ludicrous speed. So we're dealing with... So there's definitely not going to be much of a cutoff filter going on here because you're going to need that high end to punch because it's ludicrous speed. We could do things with we could do like some FM synthesis stuff. Okay, so let's see how high. What does this ball roll sound like? Just out of curiosity. Okay, had to know. So let's do like let's crank the rate. Okay, we're just kind of seeing what we can do with. Let's see. Let me think about this for a sec. So if we do that, what if we also? I don't know what this is going to sound like. Let's also crank the rate up, and on top of this pitch LFO, what if we also apply this other LFO maximum? Oh God. Okay. Turn this down a little bit. It's not even an audible tone at this point. It's... Okay, so we could, even though this is not really a, it's not really an actual tone. We're gonna try something weird. Okay, so we're gonna hit the VCF envelope with this just to get it to open and close. Actually, we'll just get it to. What do you think about this? Okay, first of all, what are we doing here? Turn on our Galactic reverb, obviously. Because I find that even if something doesn't have... It is registering. Sort of 50 cents under a B, 50 cents over a B flat on my tuner. I don't think that's gonna work. Okay, ditch this idea. Ludicrous speed, and this is another reason I usually don't come into a thing with too much plan for what I'm trying to do, because then I get caught up trying to find the vibe. Circuit, loop, circuit like a race circuit, and a loop like a racetrack. Okay, that's one. Let's see. Guitar fold, life forms, lo-fi bell, micro trip. I'm just trying to see if I can find single form or single cycle waves that have a fast sound to them. In name, not necessarily in sound. Okay, what's circuit loop sound like? Oops, turn this down. Oops. Well, that is much too. I'm almost thinking this will be less reverby. Let's turn the arpeggiator on. Speed. Yeah. Now we're getting speed. this here. Ludicrous speed. This is tricky. This is a tricky one. Sorry. What if we should have a sort of a falling on here? Let's go to this guy here. Let's go positive bias. One shot. Oh, that's right, it's fast rate. Maybe we should actually have it tune up. This doesn't seem to be. Let's have it rise. Positive. Why is this not... What am I missing here? Oh, because it's arpeggiating. And let me make sure that we are... So if I want to rise into it, let's go. I just want to make sure I don't knock it out of tune. Hang on, let me check my tuner real quick. Let's see, what am I in here? D. Let's turn this off so I can see my... Ludicrous speed. Man, I'm struggling. This is a tricky one. Something's got to be. I feel like something has to be arpeggiated. Why? Oh, I got a sustain pedal problem. That's what's going on. Boy, I wonder how long that's been happening for. Tried to change the course from that name. Yeah. Okay, so trying to picture if like the Millennium Falcon was going at ludicrous speed, what would be playing? Well, actually, that's a bad comparison because that's John Williams, and this is very much so not a John Williams sounding plugin. Oh, you like the riser? Yeah, it does have a... It's kind of fun. course, I'm going to modulate with a sine wave. I can use the pitch LFO for that oscillator. No reason to waste an LFO. We're getting a little weird on this one. Let me try to make it unison. Max voice is 4. Phaser. So I like to think about sounds where I think that more and I make the sound just to see what ideas I have, whether it's a filter sweeper or something. Trust the process. Take a rotary flanger at a fast rate, which is another way to represent speed. Now let's maybe use that riser that we were messing with. This isn't modulating that. Interesting choice. Take that riser that we were playing with earlier, instead of having it be on pitch, oops, I'll leave it there for now too. We'll put it on, we'll mess with the cutoff with both of these. Make it one shot. Let's make it. See, I'm trying to think of my head how I want this to work. Let's also hit it with I don't know if this is ludicrous speed, but we're making something happen. Of course, I realized that I'm doing a one-shot LFO to modulate my filter, and I could also do that with my VCF envelope and probably have a little bit more success with my control over it, although it won't be synced. That's the thing. It won't be synced with my DAW's tempo. Now, I wonder if I can take that same thing. I almost like that there was a detuned thing happening. I don't know that it necessarily denotes speed. LFO2, one shot. And I'll have that same LFO also mess with the volume, so the volume will disappear. So we get sort of this rising pitch bend thing that disappears. This is a weird one. I don't think we're at ludicrous speed. don't know. I don't know about this one. I'm just going to save this for now. And, I don't know. Maybe it was hard to start with the title. New patch. But I did like that. You know what, actually, let me load that up again, because I'm going to take the string part of that, because I did like what the strings were doing. And I'm going to reset everything else. I liked this arpeggiated string. Which LFO are we using here? LFO 3. I like this as a base for something. Let's go ahead and reset these modulators. Boop, 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 boop. That's what's nice, is you just look for the green squares. You're like, where am I modulating? Get rid of the green squares. I'm going to turn these syncs off just so I know I'm not using those. Makes it also easy for me just to visually see what's going on. Let's see. We were messing with keyboards last time with the organs, but we otherwise have been kind of ignoring them. Let's reset our cutoff. This still sounds... Oh, we got all these modulation effects on. Turn those off. Let's turn the keyboard track the other way. Turn off unison. There we go. I want something more messed up. This needs to be... Let me also switch into minor scale here. Oops. Let's go. Let's try these sine syncs. Yeah, the other sound it'll still work. Okay, let's see. So we have this rate going. Let's also modulate the sound here. Let's go 180 degrees different though, just so we're different from the strings. Let's also use that LFO to mess with the pitch. Thought there was thunder for a second. Just a jet. Can we have something fall into that? Let's bring these some monk sound back. I'm going to have the VCF. Let's actually do LFO 2. See if I can get a pick up a note on this. My tuner. Trying to make sure it's still in tune. Slight little. Maybe have it drop a little faster. Just pan that to the right, and there's one to the left. Some release in there. I'm almost thinking on this one we could pan into another sound here. Let's try another sine sync. It's almost getting a little too busy. Not feeling this one as much. Put this one in unison. Maybe this one functions better as a really lost this one. Probably because of our bandpass. Let's throw some delay on the strings to make them not quite as punchy. Let's throw onto here. An analog wave just to anchor the whole thing. Even if only a little bit. All right, no problem, Robert. Thanks for hanging out. I'm probably wrapping up here soon anyway. But I'm glad you're able to hang out and answer some people's questions. Always a pleasure. I think I might leave this one about here. Not sure where to go with this one yet. Let's call this one I'm just going to call it magnetic shift. And this one's mono. We'll save that as mono for now. All right, let's make one more. One more, and then we'll wrap it up. So let's make it a good one. We got a bunch in here. Let's see. What have we not? Let's go back to single cycle. Single cycle has a lot of fun stuff in there. And let's just go ahead and turn on our Galactic synth. Let's choose another single cycle on top of this. Daggers. These two go together, okay? Now let's go ahead and turn on our VCF envelope to modulate our shift here. And we'll set on the attack and decay. And that'll give us that sift through there. Already starting off on a good note. Move my feet so I can use my sustain pedal. Mess with some wind here. Get a flute in there. I'm going to have the VCF envelope affect this volume negatively. So we'll do a little slight duck. A little bit of chorus action always makes it fun. just add some really slow LFO action to this cutoff. Very subtly. Turn the key track down a little bit. Velocity to this. Oops. Here, like there could be sort of more of a, I don't want to say gong, but like a dong. What can I use to make that dong sound? It needs like to be, oh, I know. Let's go back to wind, like a bottle. Ah, perfect. Let's add 2 bottles. Separate octaves. Add our VCF. Actually, let me think about this. Let me add a. Modulation. Hitting the red on our plug-in a little bit. Let's turn it, back it off a bit. smooth one. Oops. All right. Of course, naming it's always the hardest part. Yeah, there's really good sounds in here. I mean, the sounds that are just on board to work with, all the different types of waves are amazing. You can usually find what you're looking for as you're building sounds out. We'll call this one The Last Twilight. But yeah, that's Dreamsynth. So dreamy, so synthy, so fun. And that Galactic reverb, choice. Love it. These are all part of the Galactic Pads preset pack, so I'll have this, this will be like a $5 pack. I keep everything really cheap. $5 is like the max I put anything. Well, it's usually either $5 or it's free. I have some free presets from their MG1 on my website, so if you have their Surrealistic MG1 from Cherry Audio, which is a great free plugin, amazing synth, I have a free preset pack for that on the website, GorleyRecords.com. Otherwise, this will be ready soon. I need to get like 6 or 7 more and I'll have 50. I like to have 50 for presets. It's a good number, even though each of these presets takes a long freaking time to design. And yeah, if you don't have Dreamsynth, it's $39, which is a steal considering what you get in this thing. This thing sounds incredible. Really great onboard effects. Glad to have you, Nova. Glad you're able to hang out. Always like the questions. Always welcome questions on stream. That's what it's all about. I do a variety of streams. Some of them I'm sound designing, some of them I'm actually making tracks. I've been messing with the BBC Orchestra a lot, so I'll probably have one where I'm making like a cinematic movie track, but I also like to combine it with synthesizers. So I like to do a good mix of things. And yeah, just lots of new content coming out. I'll have a full review video of this up once the thing is done. But I mean, this stream says it all about how great this thing is. And yeah, much fun stuff to share with you coming up. But it's hard to like, how do you stop playing this thing? It just sounds so good. You just get lost in these drones forever. I could turn this into a jam. It's about to get weird. doing it. Set it up right the first time and you're good to go. Also, ground noise issues. Perhaps a bad cable. Opened up like an entire collection of fun surprise jam. I can make it weird. Audio interface. There could be stuff to do with high impedance versus low impedance signals. If you want to DM me on Instagram, I can help you troubleshoot that. Check. having some fun. That was Dreamsynth. Just a fun little playing out at the end there. Why not? Chase the vibes. I'll also have full streams where I'm basically just doing this the entire time. But that is that for now. Hope everybody enjoyed this stream. Dreamsynth is awesome. Recorders are also cheap and fun. Hit me on the Instagram at Gorley Records Nova. There's some ideas I have for what your problem could be. But they're usually somewhat simple fixes as long as nothing's broken. Anyway, y'all take it easy.